If it tastes good, there is a time and a place for it. So I just got back from the gym. I'm wearing one of my favorite gym shirts. It's my Dr. Pepper shirt. My sister actually got this at like the Teen Choice Awards for free. It was too big for her. She gave it to me. This was like a long time ago, and it has become one of my favorite gym shirts. I feel like part of the reason why I like this shirt so much, beyond the fact that it's like a baseball tee, and baseball tees look great, I feel like I look good in it. So aside from the fact that I like how it looks, it's a Dr. Pepper t-shirt that I like wearing to the gym, which, kind of like food and fitness, seems like they should clash, but they don't. So Dr. Pepper, easily my favorite soda by far. Often people get confused when it comes to things like soda, and particularly diet soda. It's rare that I'm drinking too many calories, so usually I'm not having Dr. Pepper, the classic. Diet Dr. Pepper is my go-to. Now, a lot of people, thanks to this weird place called the internet, a lot of people are under the impression that diet sodas are just unequivocally unhealthy. And that's not exactly true, hence this video. To help kind of dispel some of the fear that surrounds things like diet sodas and the sweeteners, chemicals that are used to make diet sodas taste good. Now, as far as flavor is concerned, I think diet sodas are delicious. And just on that facet alone, I think that alone makes them worth having. Similar to things like creme brulee or dessert or brownies or cookies or whatever it may be. If it tastes good, there is a time and a place for it, as there is a time and a place for everything, even in a healthy lifestyle, a fit lifestyle. But diet sodas in particular get this really bad reputation thanks to the internet, and I don't think it's well-founded. A lot of people are misled. Now, the reason why they're misled has to do with some research that's out there that I think can be very confusing, and also the fact that within the health and fitness sphere and space, there is a lot of fear-mongering that's done, and personally drives me nuts because I don't think it's necessary. We don't need to attach morality to the foods we eat. We don't need to be worried about every little thing and get too caught up in the minutia. I wanted to talk about diet sodas, talk about artificial sweeteners, and talk about how they're not as bad as the internet may lead you to believe. When it comes to making progress, especially to losing weight and losing fat, calories are going to be one of the biggest movers of progress. And if you're having a couple hundred calories in a bottle of soda versus 0 calories in a diet bottle of the same soda, it's not really comparable. One is clearly going to be better for the sake of weight loss and for the sake of fat loss than the other. Thanks to the widespread knowledge that we all have at our fingertips, there's this misconception that the artificial sweeteners are bad. They're carcinogens. They're basically poison. What it really comes down to is that the poison is in the dose. And that is the case with things like artificial sweeteners in diet sodas, but it's also the case with things like dietary fat in the food we eat, or carbs. We can have too much of anything. So whether you're having a sweet treat and a dessert or a diet soda, they're not necessarily bad, and I think there is a time and a place for everything, especially for those of us that want to love food and be fit. The poison or the detriment comes in the dose. So if we have too much of, I don't know, something delicious, let's say cookies for the sake of example, or Oreos. If we're eating Oreos by the sleeve, that could be a poisonous dose, so to speak. We could be having too many for the sake of our goals, unless our goals are to enjoy Milk's favorite cookie in mass quantities, then we're crushing it. But if our goals are to lose weight, that might be too much for the sake of our goals. Same goes for something in the health sphere. If you're having too much of an artificial sweetener, if you're having too many diet sodas, you're guzzling them all day long every day, not having enough water, like sure, there can be a poisonous dose of that as well. But for most people, enjoying a diet soda here and there is actually going to help enable rather than disable progress, because that poisonous dose is so high, so much higher than enjoying the periodic soda here and there, that it's really not something most people need to be concerned about when it comes to their periodic consumption of a diet beverage. If you like Coke, if you like Dr. Pepper, if you like packets in your tea or your coffee or any zero-calorie beverage out there you can find, that's not a problem. And there's no reason to avoid that like the plague if you're having it in reasonable amounts. So for me, I honestly don't drink a lot of soda. When I do, it's usually when I'm traveling. So I'll get my Coke Zero on my plane flight today. I'll consume them periodically, and I'll dive in and have those Coke Zeros, those Diet Dr. Peppers, those artificial sweeteners in those situations, because I know that I'm not going to be having so much that it's going to be getting in the way of my progress. And when it comes to things like fat loss, when it comes to things like weight loss, there is a lot to gain from avoiding consuming a few hundred calories quickly as you guzzle a big gulp from 7-Eleven. This concept sheds light on something that is much bigger than just diet sodas. The things in fitness that get so blown out of proportion so often, things like the chemicals in what we eat, those sorts of things matter, but they don't matter as much as the internet leads us to believe. And I think that's important to focus on, or not necessarily to focus on, but to realize. There are a lot of things that we can get caught up in that become distractions from the main goal. And if we focus on the basics, if we focus on the simple steps that'll lead to progress, things like total calories, things like macronutrients, the protein, carbs, and fats that we're eating, the good habits and behaviors that we want to develop for long-term sustainable progress, as we focus more on those simple things, the minutia of things like artificial sweeteners becomes less and less important, because we're focusing on those big movers of progress and success. So that's really what this is about. It's not so much about soda. Really what this is about is about understanding the things that matter most for you, for your progress, for your goals. Odds are that's not going to be the artificial sweeteners in a diet soda that you may have a couple times a week, once a month, whatever it may be. Odds are what's going to be a bigger mover is going to be your total caloric intake, going to be the ratios of macronutrients that you're having and how those set you up for success with your goals. Sleep, hydration, things like that. The basics, the non-salacious, non-sexy parts of health and fitness are usually the parts that lead to success the most. So yes, the poison is in the dose with things like artificial sweeteners, but it's also in the dose with things like calories and carbohydrates and dietary fat. None of these things are the enemy, and there's a time and a place for everything when it comes to enjoying food and being fit. So with all of that in mind, go ahead and enjoy the periodic steak. Enjoy the periodic cookie, brownie, dessert. Enjoy the periodic Diet Dr. Pepper or Coke Zero or Diet Coke. Enjoy those things periodically, and enjoy making progress while you leave yourself the wiggle room to enjoy the foods you love or the beverages you love, because that ultimately is going to set you up for long-term sustainable success, and it's going to free you up from getting paralyzed by analysis of the minutia. And that is what matters. The simple things lead to success, so keep things simple. And to close, I just want to say thank you for watching, thank you for listening. I appreciate you tuning in and listening to what I have to say about the simple and the complex things in fitness. I think there's way too much focus on the complex, way too much focus on the fear-mongering, and we need more simplicity in the fitness industry. We need to focus on the things that actually matter rather than the things that make catching headlines. That's not to say that sort of health consciousness is invalid. I just think people are focusing on things that do not matter nearly as much as the simple steps that lead to success. So let's focus more on those. Let's share this video with people that we think maybe need a dose of simplicity in their health and fitness lives, and let's keep coming back for more. Let's keep things simple, and let's make success happen.